2 years have passed since that day, and Cain is finally 10 years old and will be attending a noble event to commemorate his birthday. It will take a week to reach their destination as long as monsters don't interrupt their travels, so Cain casts his search ability to scan a 3-kilometer radius. He discovers monsters have ambushed soldiers ahead and tells his dad to hurry so they can try to save the people. Cain jumps out of the carriage like Spider-Man and activates his wind magic, dashing towards the source of the monsters. The soldiers are cornered and are about to all be defeated, but Cain jumps in and saves one of the soldiers. He continues flying around using his air cutter ability to decimate every single one of the monsters in his way until he faces the boss. Immediately, he dodges the beast and jumps into the sky, enchanting his sword with fire. Before ending the monster in his way, the soldier warns him to stay away from the carriage, so Cain tries to introduce himself as the Son of God. Just then Garm's soldiers arrive and realize they're completely useless. Garm finally arrives and sees the terrible scene that unfolded before him. But instantly, Cain recognizes the crest on the carriage as the royal family's. From inside, 2 girls appear, Talisha, the princess, and Silk, the duke's daughter. They thank Garm for saving both of them, but Garm lets them know that it was his son Cain who saved them. Talisha nearly faints, so Cain goes on to use a relaxing spell to make her feel better. The light soothes all of their pain and anxiety away, but the little suckers enchanted it with some other type of magic. Immediately, Talisha runs over and thanks him for saving them. Silk holds his hand and thinks he's the greatest swordsman she's ever seen, but Talisha says that he's going to be hers, and they begin fighting over him. They drag him to their carriage and take him away in front of his father's eyes. Inside their huge carriage, Cain wonders why they're sitting so close to him, but Talisha is too scared for him to leave her. She tells him to call her Teles, and Silk asks him to call her Silk. His spell was too strong, and they continue trying to charm him until Isa comes. The soldier informs them that they're finally approaching the rest area, and Cain thinks that this is a mess. But the girls want to rest with him. After they arrive at the rest area, Cain tries to escape this situation, but Talisha and Silk tell him that they want to spend the night with him or they'll be scared. Garm tries to say that it's inappropriate, but the girls claim they're too traumatized and are afraid of a dragon coming to attack them. Garm says that he can take care of it, but Silk tells him that he's worthless compared to Cain. They beg Cain to stay the night with them, and he accepts if they separate the beds as far as possible. Garm says he may have 2 wives, but he should be careful because he has to deal with twice the headaches. They use Cain like a body pillow all night. The poor Giga Chad has created his own harem at the age of 10, but he's already learned that he would rather be single for the rest of his life. He didn't get any sleep that entire night, but after a few more sleepless nights he finally arrived at the capital. The head knight greets them and they continue clinging on to Cain. The knight bows to honor Cain's presence, having already heard the news of how Cain heroically saved everyone. Inside the heart of the castle, every major politician has gathered for Cain's audience with the king. He takes a bow, and the king's count commands him for being able to save Talisha and Silk from all 50 orcs single-handedly. To reward him for his bravery, the king bestows upon him a mansion, 10 platinum coins, and the honorary title of baron. Some of the politicians think this is controversial, and some fatso waltzes in and says it's not fair to be giving a child such wealth. The king tells Cornigo to learn how to stop opening his mouth before he stays fat his whole life. Ignoring the interruption, the king continues, saying that he would have never been able to save the girls in his position. This kingdom needs more knights like Cain, so the king's decision will not change, sending Cornigo running away. The king asks if Cain will accept with no room for objection. Cain humbly accepts all the awards, but the king isn't done with him and wants to talk with him in private. Garm and Cain wait to meet with him, and his father congratulates him on getting his own mansion before his other boys. The king enters along with the 2 girls, and Cain realizes that he can't tell the king about his daughter calling him daddy last night. The king thanks Cain for saving his daughter, and the duke also expresses his gratitude for saving his daughter, Silk. The king tells him that there's something important that he's come to discuss and asks him if he would take his daughter's and the duke's daughter's hands. He wouldn't be married yet, but they will wait until he's an adult. After all, he linked arms with them and slept with two unmarried ladies. No one will ever take them as brides now, and he'd better accept this offering before he faces the wrath of the gods. Cain's father offers no advice, and the pressure of the entire situation begins to collapse onto him. With no other option but to give in, Cain accepts to become their husband. Telestia and Silk think they will never forget the nights they spent together, and Cain explains it was just a misunderstanding because of all the different positions they had to do. They asked him what the hell he's saying, and Cain tries to say that he meant the position of the beds. Poor guy can't catch a break. That day, Rini was shopping for some clothes, and Cain had had enough of her broken obsession. He ran out and noticed Parma outside, the girl he saved 5 years ago. Her uncle, Timonis, introduces himself to Cain and is shocked to find out that he's a noble. Cain asks him to treat him like every other kid and asks him to browse his shop. It's an antique store where every item is crafted by Timonis, so Cain asks him if he could make a special order for him. Timonis is interested, so Cain shows him the blueprints of the game he's trying to create. With such an interesting concept, Timonis thinks this would be a great hit. So, Cain asks him to create a prototype and pays him a full gold coin for it. Timonis couldn't accept such a high payment, but Cain tells him that he should treat it like an investment into their relationship. Timonis humbly accepts and promises that he will create the best game board for him. Cain is glad and leaves the store. The next day, Sylvia comes in to save the day and informs him that Timonis has finished the prototype inside his shop. Cain is amazed that it looks exactly like the reverse he imagined. They spend the afternoon playing the game together, and Timonis thinks this will become the next trend and is positive it will become a bestseller. Cain suggests they create a fancier version for the nobles since he's sure the wealthier people will want a fancier product to begin with. Cain suggests making 50 of the noble version and 1,000 of the normal version. Timonis thinks he's a genius, but his company can't afford to create such a large inventory all at once, so Cain smashes some gold coins on the table like a top G. Timonis promises he will create all of the boards as quickly as possible. To make sure their product isn't stolen, they create an off-brand patent by presenting the board to the commerce god and vow their commitment to the contract. The board begins to glow a golden hue in front of them, fulfilling their contract with the gods. Cain makes one more request and asks him if they could create an extravagant game for the royal family. Timonis is honored that his company would ever be considered for such a project, and Parma thinks he's amazing for having connections with the king. Cain thinks she doesn't even know half of the story because the gods are probably enjoying the game he just created for them. The king executed Cain as he disrespected him. The next day, Cain reincarnates back because he's that overpowered, and when the king found out, he was about to execute him again. But the count did everything in his power to save Cain. The duke comes in and congratulates him on his revival but wants to play the creator in a game of reversey along with the rest of the palace, and Cain wishes he would have never been revived. After a week of hiding from the king, Cain is finally ready to see his mansion. He sees it's a rundown mansion that hasn't been maintained in years. With his magic, he investigates all of the rooms and decides to begin cleaning with his magical powers. The entire mansion, along with the backyard, is automatically cleaned and repaired. Every one of the rooms turns to brand new. Sylvia has finally made it here. She was extremely happy to hear that she's going to be his personal maid, so she's brought along an entire harem of maids and a butler to help him take care of all the nobility matters. Sylvia tries telling the maids to begin cleaning right away, but they tell her that there's not a speck of dust anywhere. Cain reveals that he cleaned everything up with magic, and Colin is surprised how nobody was shocked with his abilities. Colin tells him to start heading home, but Cain has completely forgotten that his older brothers will be coming home today. Back at Garm's mansion, Cain's brothers congratulate him on getting his own mansion before any of them, and they're glad that he's their younger brother. Cain shows his family around his new mansion, but Garm is confused because he remembers it being completely run down and destroyed, so he asks Cain if he's the one responsible. Cain says he just remodeled it with a little magic, and Sarah is proud that she raised such a strong son, unlike Garm's other wife. Garm thinks it will impress the visitors, but Cain wonders why he would ever have visitors when a noble owns a mansion. They must hold a debut party and invite all the nobles, Garm explains, but doesn't want to deal with all of that again and wishes he was just a brokey. Colin tells him he's prepared a list of people to invite to make things easier for him. As he looked through the list, Cain noticed Cornigo has been invited but wishes he never had to see his face again. The only one that wasn't on the list was the king. Only counts or higher-ranked nobles can invite royalty. Cain realizes all the preparation and gifts he has to prepare but has no idea what he could gift any of them. Sylvia suggests for Cain to create his own type of gifts along with his unique form of hospitality, and this inspires him. Using his magical abilities, he makes a cup made of glass since porcelain is the only material used for tableware. As for the food, Cain plans on serving everyone hamburgers, and Sylvia thinks it's the best food she's ever tasted. As for the drink, she takes a sip of carbonated wine and loves every bit of it but says that she doesn't know how she feels about it. She wants to get another glass and continues drinking all the bottles, but Colin comes to inform him that the king has requested his audience. He's infuriated with Cain and asks him why he hasn't received an invitation to his debut party yet. He slams the desk and says that he's the one who's given him the mansion. The king is ready to cry and says that he's disappointed in how he's treating his future father-in-law. Cain tries to tell him the truth, saying that he's never been given the opportunity to hand him an invitation since he's so busy. So he's hand-delivered it for him today. The king takes it and shows off to his friends like a middle school girl who just got a love letter and informs Cain that Tellys will be attending as well. The night of the debut party arrives, and Cain invites everyone inside. The Duke arrives along with Silk, and Cain calls her the most beautiful. They see his red dragon statue, and Cain thanks everyone for attending and hopes that his meager offering will please all of them. He raises the drink for a toast, and his parents try it out, loving the fizzy taste of it. Even the glasses impress them as they look like treasure chests. Cain lets them know that he personally prepared them as gifts for everyone to take home. The king arrives and sees the beautiful drink waiting for him. After a single sip, he experiences the heavenly feeling of the soda fizzing in his mouth. As for the meal, he takes a bite of the hamburger and eats the meat until it squeezes the nice creamy white liquid. This is the first time he's experienced such a delicate combination of cheese and meat, and it feels like a harmony in his mouth. The king says that his hospitality shows in everything, including the food and his house, chanting that this is the ultimate hospitality. The entire crowd collapses to congratulate Cain, filling him with joy for his efforts having been recognized. Thanks for watching. Part 3 will be uploaded soon. Do like and subscribe if you like the video, and press the bell icon for more anime. Until then, goodbye.